What's up guys, Shane here, Fugatech 3D printing, and today we're going to check out some filament from Repko3D. So welcome back guys. As I said, we're checking out Repko3D's filament. I reached out to them and said, hey, I have never heard of you before. I'd like to try your filament, see how you compare it to a lot of the others. They said yes, so they went ahead and sent me filament. So I have a green and a red here to test out, both PLA. So let's dive into at least one of them and see how they look. First off the box, plain white box, Repko3D on there. And right here they have their stats on there. So it is 1.75, it's a kilogram. The processing temp, 190 to 220 for regular PLA. The phone support and their website. And then there is just a little sticker on here to show, you know, what it is for the inventory purposes. Let's dive into one. All right, so here it is, and it's a very different spool I've seen before. You have the hub, and then you have kind of just the opening in there, which makes this a little bit bigger. The filament looks to be very well wound. Here on the side, it gives you their barcode that it is a kilogram, it's red, and 1.75. They don't give you any of their print teps on it. There is a silica pack in there. Now let me find a knife and cut this open. Packet. Yeah, that is a really nice red actually. It looks really good on camera. It looks really good in person too, as again, the wind is pretty nice. It's very tightly wound. I mean, real tightly wound. There's no creaks, nothing. Looks to be a injection molded spool, which isn't too bad. So there's obviously nothing that moves on there. Again, I like when they do things like that just because I know it's a solid piece. There used to be issues way back when about spools, but that has been long since gone, since no one really does bolt anymore, the bolted spools anymore. So that's kind of out of the way, but I like to just note it. So no real smell to it either. So I think this should be cool. So again, there's the red, and then let me pull out the green so you guys can see that. All right, so this is interesting. So here's the red spool. Here's the green spool. Very different, which is surprising because they're both PLA. Yeah, that's PLA. Yeah, this is PLA, green. Okay, so maybe they just have different manufacturers. I don't know why they would be different type of spools. And we've got the silica packet in there. This is a clipped together and glued spool, but there is no movement in it. It's a very cool green. It looks a lot brighter on camera, almost like the turtles on my shirt, but it's actually much darker, at least on my monitor here it looks brighter, but it's a much darker, I guess a lighter slash darker. It's kind of hard to describe what kind of green this is. Not like Crayola green, like the Fugatech green, but there's a lot more on here. So it's Repko3D, PLA green 1.75, it's a kilogram, 190 to 220. Oh, so everything that's on the side of the box is right here on their sticker. Again, the wind is nice, so I'm gonna put these on a couple of the printers, and these are great. These would be great for Christmas colors, so maybe I could print some Christmas things up, but we'll see what happens. It'll take me probably about a week to print through these, so I'll see you guys in a few seconds, but for me it's gonna be a little while. Let's get some time lapses. Before I get into any of this, I have to say, wow. I have not been truly blown away by filament until today. This printed by far the best I have ever seen or used of any PLA anywhere. So just have to say that first off. I am absolutely blown away at the quality from all of my different printers with this. Most of the time lapses you guys saw were probably on the FT5 simply because that's where I had it mounted, and I had a lot of other projects going on, and I was printing with the red PLA on a bunch of other printers. The green was mostly printed on the FT5 and the CR10. As you can see, I have some other parts right here. It is the Eiffel Tower. It is the Eiffel Tower and this rocket, and there are comparison prints that I'm working on when I do my comparison between the FT5 and the CR10. So that being said, I wanted to take a look at these and let me know what you guys think about these, because from the 2020 i3, the CR10, the FT5, the Monoprice Select Mini, all printed absolutely fantastic with this stuff. I'm just, again, just blown away by the quality of the filament, the spool of it, the layer, the consistency of the diameter of the filament is just great. So let's look closer. All right, so as per the norm, here's my maker coin in the red and the green, obviously, unless you're colorblind, and they just came out marvelously. This one was printed on the FT5. This one was printed on the Fugatech 2020 i3. The way that it behaved over the support, and like there was no curling, there was no real missed layers where it kind of bloops over a little bit. You can see the adhesion between the support and the filament was actually much stronger than I was anticipating. And by taking a quick heat gun over this, you can easily clean up a lot of that. You can see the white here where it came off. But the green, again, it was just great. This was printed on PEI. This was on Fugatech BuildTech. This was on PEI, so you have that nice sheen. But again, the support over top of it, I mean, not a single blemish on the walls or anything like that. There's no real, like what, these little two things here, and this one had like a string or two right up in here on the 2020, so I probably should have lowered my temperature. This was 205. Probably would have been good at like 202, 203. I would have eliminated these strings, but the FT5 at 205, no problems whatsoever. It was just fantastic. All right, so here's a simple GoPro Arm. It's a 200 millimeter, or I'm sorry, this is 120 millimeter GoPro Arm printed on the Fugatech 2020 i3. I mean, the layers are super smooth on that now. The tops and bottoms just came out perfect. You can see a little bit of white here. That is just from it being pulled off of the Fugatech BuildTech. But I mean, with the cooling on that printer is not fantastic. Look at these holes. I mean, they are perfectly round. I mean, this came out great. So I started printing this. I stopped it didn't fail because I started printing it, went and measured on my drill press. This is actually supposed to be a shroud that would sit on there, and you hook up a vacuum right here, and anything that you drill gets sucked up into the vacuum. But I went and measured after I started printing it, and I was like, crap, this is way too wide for my little mini drill press. Sorry, the focus is just, stop. There we go. But again, this was coming out just great. The walls look great. Everything in there, you can see the infill, all the infill is nice and filled in, no under extrusions on any of that. So this was coming out great. And this was printed in this orientation, obviously, because that's where I stopped it right there. Figured I would do a vase mode with the red, and there were no issues at all, no under extrusion anywhere, no missed lines. It's so smooth, just run your hand over it. This stuff was just great. And again, the bottom layer came out really nice. This is 4 bottom layers. One perimeter, obviously 0 top in vase mode and Simplify 3D. There was no issues at all with this print. All right, this was a Celtic skull that I found on Thingiverse, which was great. And looking at it from here, there was not a single issue. The skull is smooth, the top, I mean, just came out great. There's no missed layers, anything like that. It wasn't like too far away. It's sliced beautifully. The overhangs in these eyeballs, beautiful. But so it sat on the printer like this, and I have a fan on this side, but right here on the jaw, you can see this part didn't come out so well. That's because the fan was on this side, not on this side. So this extreme overhang right here did have issues. The eyeball over here didn't, but the jaw here did. And I'm gonna blame the cooling on that simply because this side, I mean, you can't even tell that there was an overhang there. Like, there's 0 support on this either. Like, it printed just like this. I couldn't believe at how well it went down and everything. And he has a flat back of the head because I'm working on my 2020 i3 and it didn't work out properly. But anyways, again, another outstanding model. Okay, here's a 3-piece model. And this is for my little E-Sheen or EA Sheen, E101, something like that, little microcopter, a little tiny whoop. So your tiny whoop can fit in here, and then this can fit in top. And here you can put like extra batteries, receivers, anything like that. And there's this hole here so that your antenna and for FEP, your camera and antenna would be on the top of the drone, so it has a space for that. And then here's just the lid for it. And it came out great. I mean, you see the shine on the PEI. This was printed on Fugatech build tack, so obviously it's a bunch more rougher than those. But again, printed like a champ. 15% infill. You can see the infill in there. I only did 4 top and 4 bottom. And it's also a really thin piece. Like there's only maybe 4 or 5 rows of infill in there, and then did the solids again. So it wasn't very thick, but again, it fit beautifully. It looks great. You can see, because it's a little bit transparent, you can see some of my layer changes here. That's a retraction setting. It's not the filament, but man, this stuff is amazing. I like Firefly, and those of you who have seen Firefly, you know that this is Serenity. It's just a low poly version of it. Printed this for a buddy at work a while back, and I was like, I haven't printed this in a while, so I printed it. Prints in 2 parts. This is where it joins, and each sit like that and like that. It came up that it has support on it, but you can see a little bit of the support here where it disconnected. But I mean, very easy to pull it right off and clean it up. Again, you can see white here. If you take a heat gun to that, that'll just bleed right away. You won't even know that you had support there. And there was support inside the thrusters here. But yeah, I mean, the walls, everything on this, it's just so smooth. If you look there, it's super smooth the way it came out. I just couldn't believe it. This is on the 2020 i3. And this is a 600% scale of the original model. So the original one is very, very small. I did some other prototyping here. I'm making a switch mount for the 2020 i3. This is my first one. I stopped it just because I wanted to make sure that the actual hole that I made would fit. I made this from scratch in Fusion 360, and then I made a second version here. I realized that my front lip here was too thick, and the part would slip in and slip right back out. It wouldn't like clip in, and I didn't like how pointy this was. So then here was version 3, and this, I rounded these off, and I made the lip in this 1mm, so actually when you put it in, it just clipped in there beautifully. And then I have there ended up being a 4th version that I had to bring these in a little bit more, and I rounded everything off here. And right down here in the corner, right down here in the corner, I added so that when your cable sits in here, all your plugs are in there. Your cable sits here, you can zip tie it to this, and that way you don't actually accidentally pull out one of those connectors on the plug, because this is mains power, so you gotta be careful with that. But yeah, this keeps it out of the way. You're not worried about anybody getting to it from the back. I'm not worried about a cap or anything, but it just keeps things from getting in there or anyone getting close to it. All right, now we have this Eiffel Tower, and this one was printed on the FT5, and it came out fairly well, I will say. Let me bring it up a little bit more. So you can see down here at the bottom, some of the parts that were cooling just wasn't enough to get everything perfectly staying up there. I mean, this is 0 support, so a little bit of drooping here and there. There was a little drooping down in here. You can see a few of those strands there, and it wasn't anything terribly wrong with it. And you can see inside all of the struts here. I mean, the retraction was fairly on point with all of this, so it came out beautifully. Like this top, just so smooth on all of this. It really came out well. But again, down here you can see a little bit more of the drooping from where cooling just wasn't sufficient enough, even though my fan was on 100%. And that's kind of a problem that happens with this model. A lot of people they can't get this rail to print. If you have your slicer set up properly, you can get that to print without a problem. I love this model. So this is a comparison model that I made. This one is from the FT5, and the other one is on the CR10, and I will compare these in a video together. All right, now I have this Verne style vase mode rocket that I printed. I love this model. It's very, very old school looking. It's Verne style. And yeah, I mean, it was 4 bottom layers, 0 top, 1 perimeter, vase mode, Simplify 3D. And it just came out absolutely great. And this top, it's scaled just the way it should and printed. This thing was like 6 or 7 hours to print this. And again, this is another comparison model that I did about a huge rocket. This is max size on the FT5. So it's like 285, I think, on the Z. I scaled it back just a little bit, just in case I was too close to the top there. But yeah, so this printed out beautifully, and I'll have another one of these in the same filament with the same G-code printed on the CR10 when I do my review. So yeah, this stuff printed great. I still have a little less than half the roll of the red left, probably about a third of the roll left in the red. The green, probably maybe about 10% of the roll is left. I have it on the Monoprice Select Mini right now because I'm dealing with an under extrusion issue, and I'm trying to eliminate the filament issue because, again, both these colors printed out absolutely fantastically. I've never had any filament perform this well across colors. Like, yeah, you get a good roll here and there, but 2 random rolls sent to me, 2 different colors, both came out absolutely beautifully. I really wanted to print Christmas stuff, but maybe I'll save some of the red for that for later. But yeah, it's just printing out great, and I've eliminated the under extrusion issue on that printer, or at least I think I have, because this print little test cube came out absolutely perfect without any issues on that. So big thanks to Repko3D for sending me this filament. They sent it to me free of charge. I'm not being paid for this review. They just said, I reached out to them and said, hey, you're a newer company, I haven't heard of before, I'd love to test your filament. They said yes. Here, Bob is your uncle. We have 2 rolls, and again, it is fantastic stuff. I highly recommend this. So go ahead down in the video description, I'll put a link to their shop. If they end up sending me a coupon code between when I'm recording this and when this actually posts, I will have a coupon code down there as well. I hope they do, just to kind of get more people to buy their stuff because it is, again, fantastic. All right, guys, so that'll be it. This was great stuff. Go check it out. If you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. Talk to me in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to support my channel, best thing to do is subscribe, hit the bell icon. That way you know anytime I upload new content like filament reviews and when I work on printers and whatnot. If you want to support me financially, down below, Patreon. Donate me $1 or more. Greatly appreciate it. Current Patreons, you guys are awesome, and half the time you keep the lights on and help me create more content. So I thank you very much for that. If you want to support me without spending your money, down below, lots of affiliate links down there. Go ahead, do your daily shopping, update your bookmarks with those. I appreciate anything you guys do for more, even if it is just to watch this video. So until next time, guys, happy printing.